What is going on, my YouTube family? Long time no see. It feels like ages since I last expressed my uh, my complete fuck. I don't even know. It's been a while since I've last made a video, but there's been a lot of news coming out of the NFL gates recently. Mostly, the schedule has finally been released. So we knew who we were playing already. You know, that schedule's already, the list is already determined uh, long ago. They now finalized the dates. And it's time for my opinion. This is a first glance. I saw I realized it was announced yesterday, but, you know, NBA playoffs are starting. That obviously takes precedence. And there's baseball. So I didn't really get a chance to look at it until, like, right now. Uh, But from what I see, this it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. You know, from what I've read on ESPN and other news outlets, is that we have the easiest schedule in all of the NFL. And from looking at it, I would. This obviously dates back to last year's ranking, but it's so hard to tell. I mean, the thing about the NFL is that it's always unpredictable. I mean, some predictions do come out true, like Jacksonville sucking. I mean, I don't know when the last time they've had a winning season. What, like 2006? Man, my fucking nose. God, Jesus. I don't know when the last time they've had a winning season. It seems like it's been ages, like decades. But I'm not, I'm going to take this as with a grain of salt. They say that we have a very easy schedule, and the last three times the team has had an easy schedule, the team has made it to the championship game or the Super Bowl. I don't really have any expectations for that. I mean, I know we hired Dan Quinn, and I know this guy's a defensive guru. What does that say about defensive minds becoming NFL coaches? We've lived in that era for 6 years with Mike Smith, and that really didn't pan out well. We didn't do anything in the 6 years. It felt like we went backwards. We started off great, and then we kind of just went in the opposite direction. It really just comes into play with with how we handle the draft. And I'm really scared about the draft too, because there have been reports, or there's been some talk about the Falcons wanting Gurley, and I will flip the fuck out if we get Gurley. I understand. I mean, I've watched college football. I understand the guy's a beast. Okay, he's like the next Marshawn Lynch, but better, and what it looks like. But we don't need him. We do not need him at all. I cannot stress enough the fact that we need defense. And if this man, Dan Quinn, is a defensive head honcho bullshit, he'll understand that what we have in place is fucking Swiss cheese. That our offense does not really need to be touched. Aside from the fact that we need an offensive line, I feel like our running backs are okay. But it's really our aerial strike, the wide receiver core, the tight ends that really put this team in a position to win. We just had some shit fucking play calling that took us back and just did not, and made this offense look anemic. But I think the pieces are there. The defense, though, that is a whole nother story that needs to be completely addressed, and it's just got to be defensive ends and depth. I cannot stress how much we need depth. I feel like I've just say this over and over, but it's all about depth in the league. You need to be able to keep up, because injuries happen. I mean, look what happened. We lost Sam Baker for like we end up losing Sam Baker every year in preseason for what it seems like, and we get blitzed by the left tackle. We had to put Jake Matthews in there, and he just got obliterated. He was able to withstand it, but he's not. That's not his position. So I think we need to address the left tackle position. We need to draft some offensive linemen because I know we've lost like 2 or 3 in the beginning of the season, last season. But I mean I'm getting ahead of myself. The reason why I'm making this video is for the schedule. And the only thing that sticks out to me that's really scary is the 3-game road trip at the end of the season when we play Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Jacksonville. Tampa Bay is a mystery depending on who they take. They might take Jameis Winston. They might take Marcus Mariota. It's hard to tell. I'm always skeptical. I'm always skeptical about playing rookie quarterbacks because it seems like with us in the previous era, I mean, it's hard to tell what it's going to be like this year. I can't give any perception as to or feedback as to how. I can only just make comments on the past, and in the past we've made rookie quarterbacks look elite. We made Mike Glennon look like a superstar. I remember 2 years ago when Geno Smith came into our house on Monday Night Football. He shredded us completely. T.J. Yates, when he first debuted with the Texans a couple years back, he beat us handily. And then, you know, I'm already going to count the at Carolina game a loss because we never win in Carolina. Never, ever. We don't. We don't win in Carolina. We don't win at New Orleans. Very rarely do we do. Huh. That's funny. San Francisco, that'll be a tough game. I mean, we start off, you know, we play 3 NFC East teams, or NFC North teams. NFC East teams out of the gate. The 3 heavy hitters, Philly, New York, and Dallas. That's not going to be easy. I mean, I could see us being at a 1-2 or 0-3 start. Like, we never win in New York either. We always suck at New York. And Dallas, that'll be tough. Dallas is a very good team. You know, a lot of people get the fact that they got through on a shady ass call and against the Lions, but they also got reprimanded when they played against the Seahawks. So they too were a player or two away from winning at all, or at least going to the Super Bowl. So it ain't gonna be pretty. It ain't gonna be a pretty start, you know. It won't be until week 4 or 5 that we actually see some daylight and play against some of the weaker teams. But starting off against those top 3 heavy hitters, that's gonna be tough. I don't like how we have a bye week, you know, the 10th week. I kind of like having a bye week right in the middle. But I do like the fact that we have 2 home games after the bye week, and the Indy game, that'll be a very tough one. I know that'll be a real test for our defense. The 2 tests for our defense will be Dallas and Indianapolis. If we can somehow look somewhat if we lose against Dallas but looks decent, you know, then I can have some high hopes. Against Philly too. Philly will be a tough one. That offense, you talk about blitzkrieg, my goodness, they are light and fast, on the ball every second. I'm gonna take this hat off. I just woke up. You get to see hat bada. But I mean, I can't go on much of a rant. I'm just going based off the schedule from what I see. And I mean, if I were to make a prediction right now, based off who we're playing, this is before pre-draft, pre-training camp, pre-everything. If I were to make a prediction, I would say probably, I don't know, maybe 8-8, 7-9, under 500. I mean, I think the last 3 teams that have had the weakest schedule have gone to the AFC Championship, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Atlanta Falcons actually broke that streak and just completely fucked it up. But this is what happens when you go completely backwards for 3 years. You got to start all over again. And I mean, there will be pressure with Dan Quinn. You know, that's understandable. But I'm not expecting anything. Not really expecting anything, ginormous. If we can steal some wins, that'd be great. But it's, again, I'm not. I'm just going. This is base. This is just a pure. I mean, don't take this for a grain of salt. I mean, this is just my. I mean, I don't know anything about the draft. I don't know. We don't know anything about how this is all playing out. This is This is before preseason. This is just a first glance look of how the season will turn, and we have tough road games. Our home games are easy, which could give us a leg up, could beef our win column, but we have some tough road games. Dallas, New York, San Francisco, Carolina, and then the NFC South teams, Carolina and New Orleans. Those aren't easy. Carolina definitely won't be easy. New Orleans won't be easy, although they kind of just went backwards too. Indy's going to be a tough game. They seem to be, they might be the front runners for the NFC or the AFC South title. They look really good. I mean, I know they got blitzed by the Patriots, but still, they're a tough team to handle. But Minnesota, I'm not too worried about. Jacksonville, I'm not too worried about. Washington, I'm not too worried about. Houston, that defense is scary, and with a right quarterback, they could be very dangerous. But I'm sorry, I'm not euphemistic today. It's just this is just a rough read, and I don't see anything eye-popping. I don't see us making a run. I could be wrong, but I also see us falling a couple games. Obviously Dallas, but I mean, I'm definitely gonna be changing my outlook once I see preseason. In the second or third week when the first string team plays for a good half, that'll be a good testament, a good forecast of how the season will look, how the defense is going to look. I don't really care about the offense. I know how predictable that offense will be, but the defense is what I'm really concerned about. The fact that our pass rush. And that's what I'm afraid about, is that we won't have a pass rush adequate to play against the Phillies and the Eagles and the Colts. And that's where the losses will come, is when we won't have a pass rush to be able to put pressure on a Mark Sanchez, that's weird saying, or a Tim Tebow, or Tony Romo, or Eli, or Andrew Luck, or Drew Brees, and they'll just sit there and they'll just fucking dink and dunk and slice and dice and do calculus in their heads and calculate the physics of the ball as it's going in the air, while we just sit there with our little teacups pretending to give a damn about having a pass rush. But again, the overall prediction, I'm thinking at least an 8-8. I'm thinking at least 8-8, 7 or 9. It wouldn't surprise me if we went a little bit lower than that, 6-10. We lose some games that we should win. I just don't know how Dan Quinn is going to coach. I don't know much about. I mean, I know he's from the Seahawks, but I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with it. But now that the NFL season is starting to brew and the draft is coming up, I think next weekend, or maybe this weekend, I'll be able to have at least a little bit more. I'll be able to gain a little bit more insight on this team, on this new team, and I'll come back to you guys. But I'll probably make a video before the draft to kind of look at the depth chart, see who's available. But I know it's got to be a defensive end. I can't stress that enough. Has to be a defensive end. But when that time comes, I'll be here.